Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Gary with the Get Some podcast. And my guest this week is...
This motherfucker Gary.
What's up, everybody? This is Gary with the Get Some podcast. Welcome back. We're just going to start off with my schedule coming in hot. This weekend, I am in Charlotte, North Carolina at the Comedy Zone. That is February 8th, 9th, and 10th. Obviously, nobody on earth is doing a show on February 11th. That's the Super Bowl. I tell you, in all the years I've been doing stand-up, I've only heard of one show ever. They tried to go after the Super Bowl, and that was in San Diego, 99? Was that when the Super Bowl was in San Diego? Let me look it up real quick. I'm going to Google how many Super Bowls are in San Diego. Right off the bat, I am not organized. Super Bowls in San Diego. And I'll tell you what's funny about this story as soon as I don't want to give the wrong information. So this was I definitely wasn't. San Diego, what? Super Bowls in San Diego. Yeah. How many Super Bowls? San Diego Super Bowl, past and present. Why is it so hard? Was it? Okay, that's what I thought. It was the 1998 one. Broncos versus Packers. That's right. So this is when I was like coming up. I was living in San Diego, but off and on. But I heard they tried to do a show after the Super Bowl in San Diego. And West Coast Super Bowl's over a little earlier. And I just remember what I thought it was weird. I was like, who wants to do a Super Bowl? Who wants to do a comedy show for the Super Bowl? Everybody's going to the game or they're partying and stuff. Basically, it tanked. Nobody showed up. The promoter, I don't know. I think he had a shady track record. I remember A.J. Johnson. If you guys remember A.J. Johnson from Friday, and not the one from Baby Boy, not the female, the guy. He passed away a couple years ago. He said as soon as he showed up, he just walked in and goes, "Where's my money? Where's my money?" Because he saw nobody was there, and he's like, "This promoter better have my loot." So now I don't think anybody would ever have a show Super Bowl Sunday because people try to come up with these. Think about comedy shows. Promoters always try to come up with things outside the box, and just stop. Just stop. Don't do cities that nobody goes to because they don't go there for a reason because nobody goes there because nobody comes out if you go there. And you got to do it in a venue where people are used to seeing stand-up comedy. So nobody that shows on Super Bowl Sunday. That's the only time I ever heard of it, and it tanked, 1998. And then February 14th and 15th, I'm in Arlington, Texas at the Arlington Improv. 14th already sold out, both shows. So we added the 15th. We are calling this the National Side Chick Day show. So, but you can bring your regular girl if you maybe on Valentine's, take her out to dinner and be like, boom, I got tickets to Gary Owen. And then you guys come see me on the 15th. All right. And then the 16th to the 18th, I'm in Orlando at the Improv. And then for 2 weeks in a row, I'm in Baltimore, Maryland, February 22nd to the 25th. And February 29th through March 3rd, I'm at the Baltimore Comedy Factory. March 8th through the 10th, I'm in Nashville, Tennessee at Zany's. And let me see, March 15th through the 17th, I'm in Phoenix, Arizona at Stand Up Live. And then we'll just end March 22nd through the 24th, I'm in Raleigh, North Carolina at the new Improv. So last week was interesting in Tampa. I'll tell you for two reasons. One, I had the mailman come through. And if you don't know that one mailman, he's all over TikTok. He's over Instagram. He's the guy that goes, "Hey, stank of booty." Arrgh. He's that guy. Funny dude. How we met, and we'll put me and him did a funny sketch together. We did one in Cincinnati, then we did one in Tampa this weekend, and we'll show it here.
Hey, little stank of booty, y'all want a piece of it real quick? It's only gonna take a little minute, damn it. I know you got some time. Just peep me out real quick, stank. Check him out real quick. Oh, look at Gary. He's so nasty. He always doing that little right. Hold on, check me out. The sense he fitted, you know he gonna rap it for the sense. You know what I'm talking about? You better quit playing. Hold on, who on the back? Who that is? Ellie de la Cruz.
Hola.
Hola. With the Dickies, he wouldn't be me if he ain't had the Dickies thing. I will work at Dickies.
Right.
So we did that sketch, right? And he just came in because my road manager, Brad, is now helping him out. Because when I did Cincinnati last month, that's the first time I met him. And when I was talking to him, I realized, oh, he's not maximizing the financial potential he could be making off this. Because, man, it's one thing to have a lot of fans. His fans are engaged. And I mean, long story short, though, I got in his ear. Brad got in his ear. Brad called me. And I was like, dude, this guy should have merch. This guy should be charging more for cameos. Cameo's an app where you can give personal messages. I have one. He has one. A lot of celebs have it. I was like, and he needs somebody out there getting him in for personal appearances. He needs to be at, like, I don't know, schools, clothing stores, liquor stores, anything. And now Brad and that one mailman, now he's got some personal appearances coming through. He's getting broke off pretty good. And I'm happy, man. I'm all down to when people are hustling and trying to make it in this entertainment business, however you can make it. I'm always down to help people that are in it for the right reasons. And he's just new to the business. And the worst thing you do is you don't want to get ripped off, man. Because in this, listen, anybody's been in entertainment long enough, at some point you're gonna get ripped off. At some point. I don't have a ton of horror stories, but I got enough. And it usually happens in the beginning. Because once you're in this business long enough, you figure it out. And then you stop getting ripped off because you only start messing with reputable people. And I like Brad will call me and be like, hey, man, I think I can get him this much. And blah, blah, blah. And I'm just a sounding board and all this. But you know what's crazy to me is, like, we did a couple Instagram, Facebook, TikTok videos. We just do a video and we post them all over. And all I'm doing on these videos with the one mailman is I'm letting him do his thing. I put on a do-rag. I'm so much bigger than him. It's funny visually. And I'm just kind of standing there smiling. And I'll do the rawr with them. And we're just trying to make funny content. But it's just so funny how people are like, they'll say dumb shit like, I see Gary just riding the coattails of somebody else that's hot on the internet. Or I saw a comment like, all right, I like it better when it's just yourself. You could drop Gary. And I'm going, and those comments are minor, by the way. 90% of the comments are amazing. You two are funny together. We've been waiting for this collab. Two Cincinnati guys. It's cool to see. But you always got those negative people. And when those people say things, I go, that says a lot about yourself. Now, granted, some could be bots. But if you go on the internet and you see a little sketch or something that nobody's bothering anybody and you feel the need to chime in and say something negative, that says a lot about yourself. My thing is, all I want to do at this stage of my life, work with cool people that I like working with, shoot some funny content, whether it's a podcast, whether it's a sketch, obviously stand-up, being on the road, movies, TV shows. I just want to work with cool people, have a good time, enjoy getting up, going to work, and that's it. And so when I met that one mailman and I realized, wow, he doesn't know a lot about the business. How could he? He's a real mailman. That's what cracks me up. That dude's a real freaking mailman. And, I just want to work with cool people and create funny content. So, yeah, shouts out to the one mailman. It was good to see you. And, I hope it just – he's going to make some loot this year. I guarantee you that. Between TikTok and getting them monetized on Facebook and YouTube and personal appearances alone, I said, he going to make some loot this year. He going to make some loot. So I'm happy to see it, and I'm here to help any way I can. So speaking of finances and stuff, anybody that does a podcast, it's the same way with podcasts, really. Like, why do you get up, get in your car, drive over to a studio, or build one in your house, and just talking to a microphone and hoping people gravitate and listen to you. Obviously, the goal is to make money. That's why everybody does this. Anybody doing a podcast, not doing it for money, is lying. That's why we do it. That's the only reason we do it. It's our own personal talk show. That's all it is. We don't have anybody's approval at NBC or CBS or a radio station. A podcast, you have complete freedom. You can talk about what you want to talk about. There doesn't have to be a theme. One week you might be heavy sports. One week you might be in relationships. One week you might just, something funny happened. So, but to make real money off a podcast, you got to have advertising dollars. You want people to run ads on your thing and all this. And since I came back after my divorce and I found a new studio where I'm living now, things have been going great. Podcast numbers are decent, everything's good, but finally got my first advertising dollars. Legit. I'm not gonna. You always get those people like, yeah, I want to advertise on your show. What are we talking? $20. I get those all day. When you get legit advertising that you hopefully can help build their business, get them sales, and then also you can make some money too. It's a win-win for everybody. So start next week, I have my first big sponsor. It's a Blind Tiger Coffee Roasters. They're based out of Tampa, Florida. And here's a crazy part. This is why I say you got to stay consistent with podcasts. Do it every week. Figure out a way. If you're out of town, and get it out at the same time. Like mine's come out Thursday. We just, as I say, same time. We just switched the time that it premieres, but mine drop every Thursday. 6 o'clock on the East Coast, 3 o'clock on the West Coast. But it's crazy. So about 5 years ago, I'm in Tampa, Florida. The airport lost my luggage, or was coming in late. So I was like, I might not have nothing to wear on stage tonight. So me and my road manager, Brad, we go to the mall. The International Plaza it's the big, good mall in Tampa. We walk in, and I see this Blind Tiger coffee company. As soon as we walk in, I go, I'm going to get a coffee. So I go in and get a coffee. I see they got T-shirts hanging up. I felt the fabric. It felt good. I was like, all right, I'm going to buy a T-shirt. So I buy a T-shirt, and we left the mall. And Brad even said, he goes, you're the only dude I know that will go to a mall with Saks, Nordstrom, Macy's, all the good stores, Gucci, Louis Vuitton, and you bought a T-shirt at a coffee shop. And you wore it. And I guess I wore it. And I bought a couple T-shirts. I went back a couple years later and bought another one because I just like the way it feels. I like the way it fits. So I went back, got another T-shirt, and I wore it like on somebody's podcast or some TV show or something. I wore it. And the owners, they were like, yo, I remember they had DM'd me a couple years ago and was like, yo, thanks, man. People were hitting us up going, Gary Owen wore your stuff. And he said he drinks your coffee. And I was like, interesting. I'm on stage Sunday night in Tampa, and I see these 4 dudes in the front, and they all got Blind Tiger hoodies on and sweatshirts. And in the middle of my eye, I started talking to him. I was like, yo, Blind Tiger. I'm telling you, the first thing I did when I got to Tampa Friday, I went to Blind Tiger Coffee to get coffee. And I tried to buy another T-shirt. They didn't have my size, XL. So I said, man, I stopped in. I tried to get T-shirts and everything. These dudes picked up this bag of goodies. It was coffee, socks, coffee cups, the Keurig cups to put it, instant coffee, T-shirts, hoodies, all that stuff. They had the big, I was like, dang, I appreciate that. They was like, no, we appreciate you always pumping our coffee shop. Because Starbucks is one thing. I like to support the mom and pops coffee shops. Some are good. Some aren't as good. But I don't know. That's my thing. That at my age, I'm not into the clubbing as much and everything as I used to be. It's more like I'm looking for good coffee shops. So they gave me afterwards, I do a meet and greet. They come up. We get a picture. One of the owners get in my ear. He's like, yeah, man, we want to advertise on your podcast. We just appreciate you. We've heard your story. All right. Got him in touch with my manager, Lisa. They worked it out. Now I got sponsors. And it just goes back to being consistent. So I'm giving them a plug now, but next week you're going to start seeing the 60-second commercial ads, and I promise I'm going to make it funny. But we're going to have discount codes for if you want to order your coffee in bulk from them. They ship all that stuff. But, yeah, I'm excited. It's my first, ad. It's weird when you do this for so long because for a while, this podcast had I had a bigger studio behind it. And their overhead, they did great work. Don't get it twisted. They did great work. If you ever saw my podcast when I had the big studio with all the bingo stuff in it, they were amazing. But their overhead was so much, it was hard for me to make any money off of it. And then when I wasn't in California, to fly back to the West Coast every week, it was just becoming a lot. And I was just like, oh, that was one of the few people that I parted, and we parted completely amicably. Usually when you fire a manager, an agent, or anybody, it can be ugly at times if you want to make it that. But this was one of those things where it was just like, hey, man, this ain't working out. I told them my reasons. They go, we understand. And they said, we wish it could have worked out, could have made a little more money. But everybody made a little money. We just didn't make a lot. So everything was cool, and it was amicable. But it just, since I brought it back, and I'm out of pocket with everything. I'm out of pocket with the editing, with the recording and everything. It's like, now it's like, oh, great. I got some advertisers, make a little loot. Hopefully they sell a bunch of coffee. I drink the coffee, so I'm standing by the product. And we'll see what happens next week. So to any young comics or even older comics out there, key in this whole podcasting game is just staying consistent. That's all it is. Because think about last month when the cat thing hit, or over the summer when the brawl in Alabama hit. Things like that, you get in the algorithms, man, all of a sudden your numbers go up. When your numbers go up, your money goes up. And you never know when those things happen, you know? Like this week, I guess there's a video of Drake's dick. I was going to talk about it, but I don't feel comfortable talking about it. So I'm not, and I just kind of did. But I'm on like Twitter or something or Instagram, and that's all I see. I go, I'm not looking that up. I don't care. I mean, I Googled it once. Kidding. But you just don't know when things happen, man. So the key is just stay consistent. In some weeks, it might be nothing going on. You got to tell some old stories, or it's harder to reach for material, especially when you're a solo podcaster like myself. Like, I've had guests, but I don't have guests every week. I'm just talking. I'm talking to the masses, and I try to make it sound like I'm just talking to one person. So if you're in your car, you feel like I'm talking to you. And, yeah. And it's interesting, like when it brings me back to last week when I was in Tampa and I was talking to the mailman, right? The one mailman. His Cameo, I said, man, with your interaction, your Cameo price should be higher because you're doing a lot of work for hardly any money. And don't listen to you got to work long hours and work harder to make more money. No, the key is to find out it's better to work less to make more. So that's in anything. So I told him, I said, man, you got to raise your Cameo price. I said, and I told him, I said, not the problem, but where you're at right now in your life, you don't realize how much money's out there for you. And you don't believe that people would pay that. Not that you don't believe in yourself. It's just you don't believe people would pay a certain amount of money for a personal video message from you. And I go, because in probably his world, the people he's around probably are like, nah, I don't know. That's too much money. But I'm going, dude, I see it. There's money out there to be made. It reminded me talking to him, and I told him when we were talking, I said, dude, just believe that you are an asset to this social media game. I go, and you're huge right now. And believe you're huge, and believe you deserve what you're getting. And it reminded me of a story. I had an opener. It's probably about 8-9 years ago. He's one of my regular openers. And we had a show in St. Louis. And the shows was at a comedy club, but the comedy club, my shows were Friday through Sunday. He messed up, and he thought we started Thursday. So he flew in Thursday. So I told him, I said, dude, you're going to have to get a hotel room tonight, and I'll just see you tomorrow. So he ended up getting a room at a Motel 6. And I called him early in the morning. I was getting ready to board my flight. I said, yo, bro, how you doing? You good? He goes, no, man. He goes, this hotel's shitty. I feel dirty here. And I said, well, where you at? He goes, I'm at a Motel 6. And I go, why are you at a Motel 6? He goes, because I'm out of pocket and I came in and, it was the cheapest hotel. It was like $50 a night. And I said, bro, this is your issue. That's how you see yourself. You see yourself as I only deserve a $50 a night hotel. I go, stop thinking that way. You got to change your mindset. Go stay at a Marriott for $150 a night and be like, I deserve this. I deserve this decent hotel. I work hard and I belong in Marriott's. And this might sound crazy to some people, but I know this. When you start that mindset, I deserve this, things happen. Things start coming your way. But if you have the mindset, I'm going to stay at a Motel 6, that tells you that's what I think of myself. I think I deserve to stay at a Motel 6. I don't. I'm like, dude, when I was younger, I didn't care where I stayed. I could care less. But I don't want to get on the phone and hear you say, this hotel's shitty. I'm hearing things through the wall. I don't feel safe, things like that. I'm like, well, that's how you see yourself. And now look at your mind frame right now is, ugh. Whereas if you would have spent an extra $100, let's say, or even extra $75 and stayed at a Hilton Garden Inn, which is a fine hotel, you'd be in a lot better frame of mind. You probably wake up and you just feel better about life and everything else. And in the end, 6 months from now, you'd never miss that $100, that extra $100 you spent on the hotel room. You never would have missed it. So I tell people all the time, you have to believe that you deserve this stuff. Believe it, man. And watch how things change. It's funny, just sometimes the how people like when they talk to you, you're just like, oh man, I can't believe you think like that. It's just I don't know. When I was younger, I didn't care where I stayed, but now I got a nice house. For me to leave my house, I want to stay at a nice hotel. That's just me. So, yeah. Well, it's Super Bowl week, and I'm not going to give a prediction because I've been wrong this whole Super Bowl. So I'm going to leave it alone. I will say what was funny, the funniest thing I've seen on Press Row this week, Travis Kelce, who always has a slick fade haircut, like it's clear he has a black Puerto Rican barber, probably. I don't know. There's Vic Blends out there. He's a white guy. He does fades, but them skin fades, like I got one. I got a hat head, but I got a fade right now. You see it? But they tried to, on February 1st, the first day of Black History Month, some person said an article, and they literally called a skin fade the Travis Kelce haircut. And so now Travis getting needless backlash. He didn't do anything wrong. He just likes his haircut faded up, which looked good. And now the fact that they dropped it February 1st, first day of Black History Month, now he's getting backlash. And Travis said, man, I just go in and get a fade. I didn't make this haircut up. It's not mine. And it just goes to show the disconnect that whoever, and clearly it was a white writer who wrote that article, you've never heard of a skin fade or a fade? Really? That's probably the most popular haircut at the barbershop, black barbershops, without question. So I think it's crazy to me, the disconnect. So another thing that happened last week, Jay-Z was at the Grammys, and he won some award in one of the Grammy Awards, and he went up there and took the moment to defend his wife, Beyonce, and said, how can you have somebody that has all these Grammys but has never won Album of the Year? Just make it make sense. And I was like, And then it got me thinking, it was good to see him stand up for his woman. Then it got me thinking, like, let me look at the last 10 Grammy comedy winners. And this is why I know awards are all BS. Awards are all, let me see. I want the last one. There it is. Let me go to Wikipedia. These award shows are BS because if you really want awards, let's say comedy with Grammys, they really don't hold any weight because who's voting on them? And there's no way you're watching every comedy special. It's all about popularity and whatever studio or network was behind your special, probably breaking off the Grammys a little bit of cash or something. And yeah, I've never won one or been nominated, but I'm also a comedian, and comedians know word of mouth gets around, and we know who had a bomb special every year. We know it. So let's look at the last 10 years and see if you see a theme. Dave Chappelle won it this year, 2024. Dave Chappelle won it last year, 2023. Louis C.K. won in 2022. Tiffany Haddish won in 2021. Dave Chappelle won in 2020. Dave Chappelle won in 2019. Dave Chappelle won in 2018. Patton Oswalt won in 2017. Louis C.K. won in 2016. Weird Al Yankovic won in 2015. So, over the last 10 years, Chappelle's won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So since 2018, Chappelle's won every year except for 22 and 21. Now, Louis C.K. won in 2021 and 2022. Louis C.K. won in 2022 and 2016. So the only two other winners, Patton Oswalt and Tiffany Haddish. And if you look at the nominees, Patton Oswalt's usually nominated when he has a special that comes out. Chappelle usually wins if he has a special comes out. Now, he's not even nominated in 2021. He's not nominated in 2022, which means he probably didn't have a special come out in those 2 years. So pretty much what I'm saying is, and this is not a knock on Dave at all, so I don't want people looking at this and then trying to clickbait it by saying Gary Owen's going in on Dave Chappelle, saying he doesn't deserve it. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is I think these whoever votes on the Grammys or committees, they see Dave Chappelle and they just click vote. That's what I think. I don't think they're watching all these other specials. They're just like, you're a music-based award show. And I'm very appreciative that, you give out awards for Grammys, but I just wish they would let comedians vote on it. Let established comedians. I wish it was like almost like the Oscars. If you win an Oscar, you present the next year to that Oscar. So if you win, and similar to the Hall of Fame for football and all that, once you're in, you get a vote. So I think if you're nominated for a Grammy, you should be able to vote every year, but you can't vote for yourself, which would be tough. Dave could never vote for himself, and I don't think Dave would, honestly. But it's pretty much consistent. It's the same people if you look down the list. Like if you get a chance, go to Wikipedia and look up Grammy comedy winners, and it's the same. So here it's saying Bill Cosby has 7 wins. Think they want to take them back? George Carlin, Dave Chappelle, Richard Pryor has 5 wins. Peter Schickele, I don't even know who that is. Robin Williams has 4 wins. Chris Rock, Louis C.K., Weird Al Yankovic has 3 wins, and 2 wins is Louis Black and Steve Martin. And if you go back, it's pretty much the same. It's most of the same people. It's a lot of repeat winners. So it just tells you, man, we all know the who drops funny specials. But like I'm honestly I'm flabbergasted Kevin Hart hasn't won one. I'm shocked. Because he's been dropping specials. I'm shocked. I'm shocked Bill Burr hasn't won one. Bill Burr's been nominated. I'm shocked he's never won a Grammy. I see Nate Bargatze, who's hot right now. He was nominated in 2022. Kevin was nominated in 2022 also. So 2021, Tiffany Haddish won. Bill Burr, Jim Gaffigan, Patton Oswalt, Jerry Seinfeld was nominated. pretty consistent. It's the same people. So the Grammys, I think they just, okay, this guy's been nominated. We'll vote for him. But just know, if Dave Chappelle drops a special, if you get nominated and you're invited to go, enjoy it, but you're probably not winning. Let's just put it that way. What is this? Performing artists. This is the same thing I just saw. Nominations. Let's see. George Carlin has 16. Bill Cosby has 13. Pryor has 10. Jonathan Winters has 8. Oh, wow. He's only never won. So Dave has 5 nominations, and he has 5 wins. So pretty much if Dave have a special comes out, he's winning. That's what we know. Yeah. Kev's got 2 nominations, never won. I'm shocked. Weird Al Yankovic, though. He's not really a stand-up. So he's got 3 wins for Grammy Awards. And let me see. How many nominations Weird Al Yankovic have? Weird Al Yankovic has 10 nominations. So he's more of like, he just sings parody songs. That's not really stand-up. So is that what the is the category stand-up, or is it just funny comedy stuff? Because I'm thinking of Grammys for stand-up. Weird Al Yankovic is not a stand-up. So maybe I'm confused. Joe Piscopo, God, 1986. Weird Al Yankovic, Eat It, Rap and Rock. Oh, these were songs. Eddie Murphy won once. Yeah. Huh. Interesting. That's interesting. So last week, last thing I was talking with my stepdad and my dad, right? And I saw people, so I'm like, hey, well, whatever happened? Whatever happened? Is your stepdad still alive? Whatever happened with everything? And I go, yeah. He's still alive. He's still kicking it. I said, even when I would tell people like 10 years ago stories about my stepdad and stuff, I was like, he's so mean. I don't think hell or heaven wants him. I think heaven's gonna be like, dude, we gotta deal with this motherfucker, and I think hell's gonna be like, we good. he's that type of personality. So people were asking me like, whatever happened to him, and what's your relationship now? And then they said, where's your mom and all this? And I was like, yeah, I guess I did kind of leave people hanging last week. Mom's still alive. Stepdad's still alive. I don't speak to either of them. And then people, when I was talking about how my stepdad acted, so that I said, I can't beat him up. And there was one time, it's kind of funny. Now, my brother Dallas, who passed away, when you get older, I think the oldest kid in any family, it's from a big family, the oldest kid usually has it the roughest. Because usually the parents aren't as financially stable. They're learning as they go and things like that. Because you always hear these stories of big families where the youngest kid got away with so much more than the oldest kid did. And youngest kid is probably a little more spoiled, got a few more toys, knickknacks, things like that. And I think that happens a lot. So here's a story about my stepdad one time. That me and my brother had the same story. So one time, I don't know what I did. It was always something I did wrong with that dude. He was that crazy. It was always something minor. But I remember here's 2 stories that kind of go together. One time I'll never forget, it was after the Bills and Giants Super Bowl. So my real dad had come to get me. Watched the Super Bowl with his side of the family, which I always enjoyed, his side of the family. And he brings me back, and I'm in high school at the time. And I am, as soon as I walk in the trailer, man, and keep in mind, Super Bowl, by the time I got home, we're pushing midnight. I got to be up at 7 a.m. to go to school. And as soon as I walk in the house, my stepdad hit me with this dude, pick this up, vacuum, take this out, do this. I'm like, oh my God, dude, I just got home. It's midnight. I just got home, and he's hit me with all these chores. And I'm going, all right. So I'm doing all these chores, And I remember I was taking stuff off the dining room. We didn't really have a dining room. We had a little table in the kitchen. Taking stuff off the kitchen table and putting it in the pantry. And he goes, "Hey man, you gotta get a job. You gotta get a job." And I was like, I just joined the Navy. I'm going to the Navy when I graduate. He was like, "Yeah, I don't care, but I'm sick of you freeloading off your mom." And I was like, "Freeloading off my mom? I'm in high school here." So I told him, I said, "Well, I don't have a car, and you don't let me get my driver's license, so how am I supposed to get to and from work?" He goes, "That ain't my problem, but I'm sick of you freeloading off your mom. You got to get a job." And I was just like, and then he just started going off on some other stuff. And I'm sitting there going, man, I'm a senior in high school. I already joined the Navy, so I know what I'm doing after high school. So I'm going, all right, this ain't going well. But I felt like I had a little out. I had an out because I knew I was going to the Navy. The only thing I had to do was finish high school and graduate, and I was in the Navy. So he went in the back room of the trailer, and I was like, I remember I got done doing the dishes, and I took the trash, and we used to take the trash, and we had a little shed next to the trailer, and we had built this little platform behind the shed because a lot of times dogs and raccoons and things, they get in your garbage. So when I would take the garbage out, I would pour bleach on the garbage bags, and it kept the dogs and the raccoons and stuff away. So I remember I took the garbage, didn't take no bleach out. I was like, fuck it, let these dogs and stuff get in this garbage. So I put the garbage in the can, and I looked back, and I was like, fuck it. And I just took off. I'm running away. So I take off, and I'm running. It was snowy out, and I'm running through the snow on this backfield in the trailer. And you know them horror movies, people trip, and you always say it's BS? It's not. I tripped. I looked back, and there had this little light in my mom in the bathroom that we had in the trailer. I saw the light come on in the bathroom, and I was like, "Oh shoot!" I'm thinking he was getting up or something, and I looked back and I tripped. Did a front roll in the snow. Went to this other guy. His name's Larry. Larry was like this 25-year-old dude we hung out with in the trailer. That probably wasn't wise. Lived with his mom. It was just him and his mom. So I knocked on Larry's door because I knew he'd be up, and I was like, "Larry, can I use your phone?" So I called my buddy Mike. Mike came and got me. Went to Mike's house and basically ran away for a couple weeks. That's a whole other story. But it was just the reason I ran away. I was just like, man, I can't win with this dude. I was like, God dang it! He goes, "I'm sick of you freeloading off your mom." He ain't got a job. So I ran away at that point. Well, about a year and a half before that, I remember. I mean, you get hit a couple times, you figure out how not to get hit as a kid. At least I did. I figured out how not to trigger him. But one time he was just on me, dude. He would not let up. And I was just like, and I remember he was going in, and I reached my hand behind the doorknob. He had me up against the door, and he was doing this, like in my face, the front door of the trailer. And I started to turn the knob. And I don't even realize I'm doing it. I'm just like, it was just instinct. Like, I got to get away because he kept getting closer and closer. And then I turned the knob, and that's when he realized I was trying. He goes, "What the fuck you doing? You trying to get away from me?" And then he picked me up and had me. My feet are off the ground. He had me off the ground, and he had his forearm. He put his forearm in my throat. So now I'm almost going out. Like I remember he's right here, and he's holding me up. Motherfucker, cuss. And then he finally let me go. And I tried to push him off of me because that's the only time I really talked back or ever yelled at him. I said, "Get your hands off of me." And then he let me go. I collapsed. I remember he sat there, and he went and lit a cigarette. He was like, he was just looking around. It was silent because nobody else was home. And he just walked back to his room. And I remember I sat there at the front door just catching my breath. And then I think I just went to my room. And then, I don't know, he came to my room. He was always a guy that was like the abuser, but then he's a savior. Because then he would come and he'd be like, "Man, I guess I lost my head," and, just reach for the doorknob, and I got to control my anger and things like that. And then he'd do like something halfway nice, like, "Hey, you want to go to McDonald's?" Something like that. And we get in the car, and I just you just like, oh, so he goes from like abuser to like savior. And then, but I always held on that story. Like I didn't really tell a lot. My brother Dallas, probably, so he passed away in 2015. So this is probably 2000, I'm guessing 8, 7. So he tells me, he goes, man, he'd always call me when Rob would do something irrational. He goes, man, Dad's pissed at me. I said, what happened? He goes, I don't know. He was yelling at me. I yelled back. We got in an argument. He goes, man, he was like choking me against the front door. And I go, shut up. And I go, I literally went, I go, let me guess, he used his forearm? He goes, yeah. I said, shut up. I said, Dallas, don't lie to me. He goes, nah, man, he used his forearm, and he was yelling at me, and I pushed him off of me. I said, get your goddamn hands off. No. I'm sorry. Sorry, I messed up. He said I pushed him off of me because I guess he cocked his fist. Rod cocked his fist, and Dallas said, if you hit me, that'll be the worst mistake of your life. And they said, Rod dropped the fist. He goes, what's that mean? What's that mean? He goes, then he let Dallas go, and then I said, Dallas, what did you mean by that? What was going to happen? He goes, I don't know. I was just trying not to get hit and not get choked anymore. He goes, but he won't let it go, Gary. He keeps bringing it up. And Dallas must have told me this story 2 weeks after it happened. He goes, yo, Dad's still asking me, what did I mean by that? But I just replayed in my head. I could see Rod having Dallas up here and cocking his fist. And I could just see Dallas. I think Dallas stood up to Rod a little more. Obviously more than I did. But he was just like, I just see him going, if you hit me, that'll be the worst mistake of your life. Hold on. What's that mean? Fist comes down. What are you talking about, worst mistake of my life? What do you mean by that? And the fact that my brother was like, yeah, I don't know. I'm just trying not to get hit. That's the one thing I miss about my bro, man. That dude has some funny-ass stories. Granted, they were irrational and crazy. I'll tell you a funny story. Well, anyways, you know what? I'll tell you a funny story next week about my brother Dallas because it's a long story. And keep you guys tuned in. It'll be a cliffhanger while we're sipping Blind Tiger coffee next week. But so people ask whatever happened to your stepdad. He's still alive. Him and my mom still live in the same house. They moved out of the trailer. They live in a house now, and he's still around. But I do remember after the wedding fight happened and all that stuff went down. Well, my stepdad found Jesus for about a year or so, and it got a little crazy. Like it was like he went from I don't really know about God to like, oh my God, Jesus is the end all. Like literally one time in high school when I got grounded for something, I literally said, hey, can I still go to church? He goes, for what? You're clearly not getting nothing out of it. I was like, damn, this dude kept me from the Lord. Because when I would get grounded in high school, it wasn't grounded. It was to my room. No TV, no radio. You come over to school, you just sit in your room all day. Don't come out. I think I was grounded more than I was out in high school. Because at one time I was grounded for like half the summer. I literally sat in my room from like the end of May to the end of July. I was in my room every day, all day. Only time I would come out was to get a shower or to get something to eat. And then I had to go right back to my room. Just sit there. No music, no TV. We don't have cell phones back then. It was just me and my thoughts for 2 months in my room. But he found Jesus. And I'll end on the podcast with this. It was Thanksgiving. I go over there, and he wants to say a prayer. And we're like, what the fuck? He going to say a prayer? The angriest man on earth is about to say a prayer, and I will never forget this prayer as long as I live. And while you're listening to me say this prayer, I am not off the air. These pauses were this long in the prayer. So he's like, bow your heads. This is the whole prayer. We're holding hands. I remember me and my sister kind of looked at each other like sideways. He goes, dear Lord, thank you for your word and showing us the way. And thank you for the troops that provide us with the blanket of freedom that we can enjoy this day. Thank you for the troops. Amen. What? We looked around and we was like, yo, did he not bless us? Was there no like, thank you for getting everybody here safe? Thank you for, I don't know, the normal generic prayer. The fact that he got stuck, and I made that shorter than what it normally was. Those pauses, I think the food was cold by the time it got done. They were so long. And remember, me and my sister actually looked at each other for a hot second, like, and that's why when I saw him saying the prayer, he was moving his lips. He couldn't figure out what to say next. And he was like, oh, thank you for showing us your word. Longest pause, longest pause, longest pause. And he was like, and showing us the way. Thank you for the troops that provide us with the blanket of freedom that we can enjoy this day. Thank you for the troops. Amen. I was like, we had like 4 different families drive there. Maybe you want to thank God for everybody getting here safe, for our health and things like that. Nope, troops. And the blanket of freedom, which was actually a creative word, I must say. But yeah, he's still around. So him and Mom are still together, and, that's it. So next week, I'm going to tell you that story about Dallas, my brother Dallas, and it's when he knew he wasn't a good drug dealer story. That's such a funny story, man. But I'll leave you guys off the cliffhanger for next week. All right, so again, this weekend I am in Charlotte, North Carolina at the Comedy Zone. And then the February 15th, I'm in Arlington, Texas at the Improv. And the 16th through 18th, I'm in Orlando, Florida at the Improv. And then for 2 weeks, I'm in Baltimore, Maryland at the Baltimore Comedy Factory. All right, y'all. I'll see y'all next week. This is Gary Owen with the Get Some Podcast.